Hi, I'm Kerena Saltzman, and this is my husband, Ben.
Hi.
And we have been here on the East Coast, a half hour outside of Boston, in a place called Manchester, Massachusetts, which is an old family home in Ben's family. And we've been here with his family for 2 weeks, and now we have a week alone. And it's beautiful and spacious. And he and I have been having a lot of conversations about relationship.
Mm-hmm. And we were here with my family, so there's a lot of stuff that's gotten stirred up. And this is episode 1 of the Salties. And we decided that we would record some of what's coming up between us and how we're kind of debriefing what's happening with our family, because it has been on.
With some hope that it's useful to you, right?
Yeah.
And that how we're orienting around relationship, and also where we're pushing up against ourselves and maybe struggling, but also where we're able to pull ourselves out and have a more loving relationship, like both.
Yeah. And mostly, people seem to really like our personal stories way more than when we try to teach.
And we're both strong personalities. Like, we both bring a little push to the table.
Yeah. So, and we're committed to being in conscious, loving, connected relationship, and to doing our spiritual and our emotional healing and transformative work within the context of long-term relationship.
And it's not always easy by any means.
Not always easy or pretty.
It's incredibly challenging sometimes.
Yeah, very difficult because she's an 8. Enneagram type 8.
Not to stereotype or stigmatize anybody.
We wouldn't do that to each other very much.
We're way more evolved. We're way too evolved.
We
for
don't
that,
stereotype. We never think of the other person in terms of their type.
All right, so what we were wanting to talk about today in episode 1 was how we orient to relationship. And this came out of a conversation with an older relative that we had where she was getting triggered big time by the family.
Yeah.
And she turned to us one night and was like, how do I let go of this and forgive? And how do I have so much history of resentment with these people?
Yeah, she was intense. It was
intense.
It was full on. And it was, the part that struck me was she could see it happening in other relationships and in the moment.
Right.
Right? So there was an ongoing experience of I've been left, I've been dissed, I've been disrespected.
Yeah, I've been dropped. Yeah.
And in family dynamics.
Family drops you. They just do.
We had 14 people here, then 19 people. People were getting dropped left and right. This is just chaos. Yeah, so what do we do? How do you orient toward relationship? Mm-hmm. How do you orient towards relationship in a way that's so you don't get caught in re-triggering that same wound? Right.
I think one thing that we have an agreement about is that if I'm getting incredibly angry or really, I would just say triggered, where the emotion is larger than the actual situation, that I go inward and look at it as what's happening for me. What happens in a lot of couples that I think is dangerous, and I go there sometimes and I've been there, but is the finger goes, it's you.
Right.
And if you would just stop, I would be fine.
If you would do this differently, if you would show up in a different way, or if you would say it right, use your NVC, nonviolent communication skills.
You didn't say the word right, damn it.
Yes, right.
Versus, what about if I can go, okay, what in me is getting triggered here? Like the other day, Ben was showing up late to pick up our daughter from preschool or camp or something. And I knew he was leaving right on time to pick her up, so he was going to be 15 minutes late. And I just noticed, I just started to fume and get so angry.
And what was the internal story about him, about me?
The internal story, you're flaky, you're caught up in your work.
Yeah.
It's just a bunch of judgments. Also,
right, running judgments.
And
Type 7,
not being
flaky,
responsible.
not responsible.
And as I started to kind of go inside, I realized the reason I was having such a huge emotional response is that as a kid, I was, my parents were, they wouldn't come on time. So I would end up feeling devastated and dropped, and it happened over and over and over again. I came from a very large family that was a little disheveled.
And this is thematic for the type 8 as well, right? Like I got to get tough. I've got to control because some bad's going to happen.
Right.
And
I've got to protect the people I love.
And I've got to protect the people I love. Jordan,
right.
Our 7-year-old daughter,
yeah.
there's a commitment to protecting her.
And it's this tricky thing, right? Because this is sort of an interesting part of it, which is, it's partly a story, a lens we're seeing through when we're in blame, but it's also impacted by how you show up with me in that.
Yeah.
Right? So like when you show up and you came home and I shared with you, wow, I was getting so angry, and part of my reason I was so angry was because of this and this and this in my life.
Yeah.
And
I don't even remember what
I really
what
want
did
you
I
to
do?
show up on time. You're like, you got it. You like took it in. Like, okay, it wasn't a long conversation or anything, but it was just that you met me in it. You weren't judging me for being an 8. You weren't trying to get me to understand my type. You
right.
were just in the getting of me,
right.
and in the trying to do it. Trying to be on time.
Right. And that getting of them, getting of you,
right.
That's a big one, right?
That's a big one.
Yeah, because I can get defensive when you start to blame me for being a flake or
right.
not doing it or whatever.
Right.
So there's a part of me that wants to kind of get big or attack back.
Totally.
Sometimes,
yeah.
Get defensive.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a real kind of a keto move.
Yeah.
To kind of get, all right, so this is what's important for you right here.
Mm-hmm.
And you're feeling really angry. And like something's
right.
just a big thing
and
that
this
just
is connected
happened.
To this past thing that you're holding. And
right.
Yeah.
So there's a lot.
Yeah.
Because often the guys, like, we don't know what to do when they're coming out.
And we're made out to be crazy, right? They're just crazy.
Right.
It's just,
Yeah, so like the getting of their world and a little bit of spaciousness. Sometimes we say whoever has the most spaciousness, they're the ones who get to like bring it to the table. Hopefully one of us has some spaciousness and we're not totally triggered.
Sometimes neither of us has it,
right.
But usually there's somebody that has it a little more, and you can kind of feel it in the moment because you're like, I am so lit right now. I just want to just like, and I can look at Ben and go, oh, he's not as triggered as I am. Right. Sometimes he can talk me down, or sometimes you'll get really lit up about something, and sometimes I can say, hey, let's just like, it wasn't that, let's just kind of, I can ease it down.
Yeah. All right, so I actually feel good about this so far.
I do too.
Yeah, can we wrap this one?
Yeah, and I just want to come back to sort of the 2 focuses, just, in case people want to take this into your life, and is that looking at, can I orient towards relationship? You just might play with it for a few days. Can I orient towards it in a way that if I'm getting triggered, can I get curious about myself versus blamey towards someone else? And if I notice myself going blamey, to just pull it back and just just to start the inquiry inside.
Yeah.
It changes
what
the whole
inside
dynamic.
of me is getting triggered that I'm so lit up, that I'm so angry, or that I'm so wanting to shut myself down, or that I'm whatever if there's an emotional response, a change of state, there's almost always there's something inside of you that's getting hooked. And I tell you, it's so much better to like be able to have some responsibility for yourself instead of trying to change the other.
Like, it saves hours and hours and hours of arguments, like literally.
So good.
And I would say just in the other piece that you brought up was the whoever's got more awareness.
Or more spaciousness.
Yeah. That we have an explicit agreement, that person can kind of like create or like de-escalate the situation.
Yeah, and do a lot of listening for the other person. And the big one is like, can you listen and get their world without getting triggered yourself? That if you have the spaciousness to do that,
Black belt.
That's good on you, because that's the secret sauce for a lot of this. So that is the end of episode 1 of the Salties. And if you like it, you're on Facebook, please like it and share this. If you're on the blogs, if you want to know your Enneagram type, head over to touchedandtransformed.com and take our Enneagram assessment. And we do webinars and seminars that are open to the public on this stuff. So if you're interested, come play.